Here's the last section, part 3 of the church questionnaire.
Number 11, what, if anything, would the church want to see change or develop in the future? And this is more of a, kind of I just want to see what you would think about this. I would like deeper discipleship during the week, growth in our next generation ministries, involvement in service at Wakeland Elementary, involvement in evangelism, and also a new ministry involvement in Love Life, abortion ministries, to prayer walk, help mothers in need, help children in need, help fathers that are in this scenario and tempted to make this terrible decision, that we could be there for them to help them and share the truth with them. Number 12, do the church members generally and happily follow the lead of the pastor and the deacons? So the pastor and deacons, the pastor is kind of the overseers of the church, and the deacons kind of help lead a lot of things as well. And I would say, yes, generally so. As with any organization, there's going to be pushback and change, and there's going to be some pushback is valid. And as a pastor, I want to take that advice, and growing trust over time is key as well. So something we can always be working on to follow the lead and trust the leaders in the church. Number 13, in what ways do you think the young age of the pastor might affect the reception in the church? So I'm 33. There's a lot of members in our church that are in their 70s. So I have been welcomed here, generally respected, and with the trust and leadership, this area will grow with time as people, try to, follow 1 Timothy 4:12 says, don't let anyone despise you because of your youth. So I understand the difficulties that are involved in that. So we continue to press forward with that. Number 14, is the current practice of communion, format, timing, gap between service and communion, set in stone? So in our bylaws, it says that we do it once quarterly. But we've been doing it more than that, and I'm continuing trying to do more than that for like special occasions, for sure, Easter and Christmas. But I would like to move it to more frequent as time goes on. You can see in Scripture that it seems that every time they came together, it seems that they were breaking bread, kind of almost a symbol for taking the Lord's Supper. So every time we can come together and remember what Jesus did for us and do that in remembrance and worship to the Lord's Supper, I think is a great thing to do. And so, again, it's not set in stone. As long as we do it quarterly, we would be fine within our bylaws. We can do it more often if we would like. Something that we're going to try to move towards. What sorts of things do you feel a pastor should not be doing with his time? Now, upon reading this, maybe I should have clarified this question. Obviously, the pastor should not be in sin. So that's not what I was talking about. This is more like the role of the pastor. What is his primary functions? If his primary function is spiritual leadership, that necessarily means that he's not going to be doing some other things. And again, it goes back to the biblical role of the pastor and what is encompassed in the oversight of the church. It seems the primary function of the pastor should be teaching, preaching, praying, those spiritual things, the general overview spiritual needs of the church. And the practical needs and decisions would be led by the deacons. And so kind of splitting those categories so I think that would be helpful in trying to, again, going back to what is the role of the pastor in the Scripture and how we apply that here. Number 16, how often are business meetings conducted? Are they productive or generally positive? What is typically discussed? They are quarterly, and we're doing them right after the 11 a.m. worship service. I think they're generally positive. It's time to give updates on ministry and vote on important matters. Number 17, does the church have a yearly budget? And if so, how is it put together? We do have a yearly budget. It's put together by our finance committee, reviewed by them. Our fiscal year starts in September, and that we put it before the church to vote on as a whole. And the finance committee talks with me, different other groups, to see how much money do they need for this coming year for the ministry that they are doing and what's available in our resources. While we're talking about budget, this is getting into the weeds here but a little bit, but you can, at our member meetings, you can get those budgets and can kind of see where we're at on giving and where we're at on spending, how much we brought in and how much we're spending out. So pay key attention to that. Thank you for everybody's generosity for giving to the work of ministry. Number 18, what is the church's attitude and approach to missionaries? We support missionaries through the Southern Baptist Convention, through the International Mission Board and the North American Mission Board. Your part of your money that you give in the general budget goes to the cooperative program to fund these missionaries. And we've had missionaries come in and speak. Some of my friends have been missionaries that we've helped out indirectly through those funds. It's Matthew 28. It's the Great Commission. We are to go make disciples of all nations. So it's very important that we do this in our area and across the world. So we need to continue to support the spread of the gospel through missionaries. What do the church's view concerning counseling? I think biblical counseling is very important. Biblical counseling was taught two lessons by Roger Corbin. Appreciate his insights and help. And basically, in summary, he's probably good. It's more to it than this, but biblical counseling is almost biblical discipleship. It's walking with someone in their mess and applying biblical truths. And this is what we want every believer to be able to do. Now, some people are going to be more gifted at it than others, and there's going to be certain scenarios and aspects that need maybe more trained counselors. But overall, being a good friend, being a good Christian, praying for people, asking about how they're doing, giving them biblical truth is biblical counseling. Now, we also think that there are times when there are medical issues going on, and there are benefits of seeing a psychiatrist or a specially trained trauma counselor and things like that. But those would be a case-by-case basis, but we see the benefit in that as well. All right, last one, and this is for you guys to think about. How would you sum up the spiritual health of the congregation in qualitative terms against measurements like prayer? How's our church doing at prayer? Do we have a heart for evangelism? Do we love one another? And I think we have a lot of strengths in our church. We have a lot of people doing a lot of things. But like with every church, with everything, there's always room to grow in this. And we want to strive to be more like Jesus. So I hope this was a quick overview and helpful to see a little bit about our church and where we're at and what we believe and where we're going. And continue praying for our church and being involved and making our spiritual health. Every member matters because every member is part of that health of our congregation. And so thanks for joining us tonight. Hope I can see you soon on Sunday. I'll be preaching on Genesis 47 and 48. Jacob is blessing Ephraim and Manasseh. We're getting to the end of Genesis. I have just a couple more chapters there. And then I think I'll be preaching on what is a pastor, what are the roles of the pastor, looking at all those scripture passages about overseers and elders, taking a deep dive into that role, and then jumping into the book of Acts. And we'll kind of see where those overseers and pastors kind of get their start with the apostles, and we'll see the deacons in Acts as well. So, again, thank you for joining us. I'll see you next time.